Welcome. And I am here with a very special guest who is going to be my first guest on LinkedIn. Um, but some of you know her as Kelley, some know her as Kelley Hoag, and some know her as my daughter. So I am thrilled to have Kelley on this live today. And I want to uh, let me tell you how this came about really quickly. So Kelley, and I'll let her give her bio, but basically she was interviewed recently for a publication, Authority Magazine, and it was about resilience. And when it came out, I was just so proud of her, and people have seen me post that all over the place. And when I read it, I noticed that she talked about her mom, and I was like so proud. And I also loved what she said. And it occurred to me that the topic of resilience is just such an important topic. And so many people are talking about it. But it's one of those things, what is it exactly? Do I have it? How do I get it? How do I improve it? And I thought that this was a great opportunity to kick off the year and to talk about resilience and what does that mean. And the reason Kelley is such a good person to talk to about this is not just because she's my daughter and I'm a proud mom, but it's because of her background and because of what she does. So Kelley, why don't you tell everybody about your company and your background?
Sure. Hi, I am Kelley Hoag. I am a self-trust coach and the founder of Root to Rise. And I work with men and women to help them find a loving and accepting and trusting relationship with themselves by opening the line of communication between their mind and their body so that they feel grounded and empowered and like they're able to make decisive samurai sword-like decisions and be able to recalibrate and bounce back from life's inevitable roller coaster ride, which is really the topic of today when it comes to resiliency. And when I was being interviewed for that publication, I was like, oh, maybe I'm a resiliency coach. Like self-trust and resiliency go so hand in hand. And I'm excited to talk more about it because it's something that I'm really passionate about. I'm really big on the topic of resiliency, and I think it's fun to open it up and have two different perspectives here and see what comes out of it.
Yes, and I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to log in my iPad to Facebook so I can tell people on my personal page that we're over here. Yeah, and I think when I first saw your description on LinkedIn that you changed your title to be self-trust coach, right? Is the way you say it. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And the more I thought about it, and the more I've been sort of, looking into the topic of resiliency, I was like, that is so appropriate. And especially when you talk about resilience and self-confidence and all of that. So I want to talk a little bit about, how that, how that impacts people and how they should think about it.
Well, so I started calling myself a self-trust coach. I made that title shift. Not that the title really matters, but this was about a year ago that I made the shift. Before that, I was calling myself a behavioral health advisor. My background is in behavior. I have my master's in ABA. If you're familiar with ABA, it might be because you know someone with autism, and that's the work that I was doing for a while. But I have a background in psychology as well, and I've always been really passionate about mindfulness and relationship with self and meditation and yoga and personal development. And I knew with my education and behavior that there were different roads I can go down with it. So I wanted to break the mold and bridge behavior and wellness and behavior and intuition. And I didn't really see a path that made sense. So I made it. And I started working with men and women, helping them build healthy habits and intuitive habits that felt really good for them and that were flexible and that made sense and that were really meeting themselves where they're at. So instead of, I commit, it's 2022, I'm going to work out every single day and I'm going to be vegan and I'm going to journal every morning. It's like, first of all, do you want to do those things? Second of all, let's do it in a way that makes sense if they are authentic desires. And I started realizing in doing this and helping my clients create healthy habits that we were actually strengthening their self-trust. And habit change was the result rather than what was actually happening. So I turned into very organically a self-trust coach. And a big part of what I do is helping my clients bounce back. So like I said earlier, there are inevitable things that happen in life, and they could be small or they could be big and earth shattering. But when you know that you've got your own back, you feel grounded in who you are, in your desires, in what you want from your life, in trusting of your authenticity and your inner voice and your intuition, you're able to recalibrate. And the latency between the event and the regrounding gets smaller and smaller with the more trust that you have in yourself. So I think it's an important thing that we all need. And I feel grateful that I am able to help my clients strengthen that muscle, because that's what I think about it as, your self-trust muscle.
And that's, oh my gosh, you hit on so many things that I want to talk about. I mean, one of the things that I think is interesting for people, and it took me a while to sort of understand it, but being your authentic self always sounded a little bit like, what does that mean? Like that's all kind of, I don't know, esoteric or something.
Woo woo.
Woo woo. Yeah, exactly. But, getting to what your desire is, who you are, who you really are, I think is so hard for people, because so often, and that's where the pandemic's been so interesting, right? So often we're putting on everybody's texting me saying they can't see it on LinkedIn. So often people are putting on personas, right? And I think more so in my generation than your generation, but we put on these personas. There's people that we are, trying to be, when we go out into a business meeting, we're one kind of person. When we're meeting with a new friend, we're another kind of person. When we're, so we're always sort of putting on these personas. So then you talk about like, what's your authentic self? And people are like, I don't know. I'm not sure, what I am, what my authentic self is. And it's been really fascinating. So Kelley's been home. Kelley lives in Los Angeles, and she's been home for the past couple of weeks. And so she's been working her magic with me, which has really been just so eye-opening. And one of the things that we did the other day with one of your people that you follow and work with was to be, and you'll say it better than I will, but to be mindful in the moment about, when you're doing something, notice when you are enjoying it, and notice when you're not enjoying it, and you're almost
when you're being present.
Yeah, but I love the way she said, like, when you're enjoying something, you're very present in that. You're enjoying it, and notice yourself smiling. And then when you're not present in something and you want to run away from whatever the task is, like, notice that. What is it about that task, or what is it that you're doing? And then trying to figure out, how can I do more of the things that are enjoyable? So that was a great exercise for me, because I think a lot of us go through our day, you just have to do it, right? And you don't really stop to think about, I don't really like doing this, can I give it to somebody else or whatever? But okay, we could go on. I know we could go on for a long time. Let's go back to resilience for a minute. And I think, because it touches all of these things. So when I was looking up, I did the basic like Google search, right? Definition of, what is resilience? And basically it says your first Google, result is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness, it says. The second one, and I thought this was great, almost more appropriate, is the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, elasticity. And I thought that was such a great description of how people should think of themselves and being resilient, that it's the ability, and you'll say it in a different way, and I'm going to let you do that, but the ability of a substance or person to spring back into shape, right? So what's your shape? So to me, that's like your authentic self, right? And then springing back into that. How do you get back that sort of equilibrium or balance? And I think, it's when things don't go as planned, right? What happens to you as a person, right? And it's not about, and I think this point that you made once when we were talking, is it's not about just plowing through, but recognizing how things, make you feel and how you react to them. So, so talk a little bit more about resilience. I love what you say about resilience is a muscle, and so what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, I think I think self-trust is a muscle. I think resiliency is a muscle, meaning that it can be strengthened. And so the more that you're able to build your self-trust and therefore your resiliency, the easier that it gets, and the quicker that you are able to bounce back. And when you're talking about the bounce back to your authentic self, I like that, and I agree. And I think that there are two really important pieces to it. One being having a clear channel. And so there is so much noise in our lives right now, Instagram and Facebook and podcasts and books and articles and news and notifications on our phone from apps we didn't even know we had. And it's like exhausting and overwhelming. And it's noise, and it takes us further away from our own voice, and our waters get muddied by the voices of other people. So then to be able to recalibrate ourselves and feel grounded, it actually gets really muddy and messy, because we're like, well, I don't know where my tether is. I have all of this cloudy, like murky waters. And so I'm really big on clearing those channels by doing things in your life that allow you to feel grounded, and by literally taking inventory of where energy is getting depleted, where it's leaving you, and where you're taking too much energy in. So if you ever get to the end of the day and you feel like you need to scream at the top of your lungs, and you're feeling like there's gunk in your body, and you're like, oh, I just need to let it out, scream. I'm a big fan of screaming in your car, turning the music up and screaming in your car. That, to me, that buildup, that like gunk where you just want to pop your top, means to me that you're taking in too much stuff, too much of other people's things, guilt or worry, or feeling like you are responsible for other people's happiness, or all of these things that are building up in your body and need to be released. If you are feeling like, okay, I need to just go to sleep, like, thank God it's Friday kind of my mentality, I need to rest, close the door, be in my room for the whole weekend, sign off. That, to me, sounds like you are depleting yourself of your own energy, like you're giving too much energy. And so in order to come back to you and recalibrate, feel resilient, do that. Do the things that allow you to recenter and reground and clear your channels. And maybe it means shutting off, Instagram for the day, or signing off of Facebook, or taking those apps off your phone, whatever it is. But allowing for clear channels helps you know that, okay, I've got me. I have awareness of where my energy is being leaked and depleted, and how I'm taking too much in. So let me give myself what I need, what my body is asking for, and what I need. And this is a big thing that I do with my clients. Like, what do you actually, Risa, Kelley, you need and want? What is your body asking for? And so then we're able to start to notice those patterns and those stimuli that are saying, oh, I have a funky feeling in my belly. Like, that to me means that I'm feeling ungrounded, and I need to take some time to be quiet with myself, or I need to take a bath. And so then you can start to ask yourself, okay, I'm feeling that ickiness. What do I need right now? What do I need? And you're connecting your mind and your body. And then by giving yourself what you need, by asking you, what do I need? And allowing yourself to have it, you're building self-trust. You're letting yourself know, I've got me. I don't need to ask this person what I need. I don't need to go look for it on the internet. I know what I need, and I'm going to let myself have it.
And all of that's so great. The other day, Kelley said to me, Mom, do you need to go in your car and scream? It's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but
I love doing that.
But I could have done it. I think, one of the things, and this is more true of women, I think, than men, but one of the things that we do is we take it all in. We sort of assume it's our problem. We need to be the problem solver. We need to be everybody's crutch. And we take so much into our system, and we don't allow ourselves we don't allow ourselves very often to say no. Like, I'm not going to own that problem right now. I've gotten a little bit better at that as I've gotten older, and I've gotten a little bit better about separating the problem from the emotional attachment, which has helped me a lot. So where I can say, okay, this is a problem, and I can problem solve it, but I don't have to have all the emotional energy behind it. And that's like really helped me to be more resilient. The other thing I think is such an important piece of this is the confidence level. And so your self-trust message, your confidence level of people having confidence in themselves and trusting their gut, is such, I think, is such a big piece of resiliency, is the ability to trust that what you're doing is the right thing for you. And it also, to me, is sort of is coupled with, is handcuffed to sort of optimism. And I think, I said to you the other day, actually, we were talking about our goals and everything for 2022. And I was commenting how, and I think it was like your article that sort of spurred this, but I wake up every day, like I go to bed thinking I can't wait for that first cup of coffee, and I can't wait for the day, and I can't wait to see the sunrise, and and what's tomorrow going to hold, because whatever I didn't do today, I can finish tomorrow. And I started to notice that about myself after having spoken to you about it. And it occurs to me that that's a piece of me that I really like. It makes me feel like I can tackle whatever's coming my way. Doesn't mean I'm not depleted at the end of the day and don't need a scream, a car scream, but there's something about that optimism. And is there a way, if people say, okay, well, I'm sort of confident, but I don't know if I wake up every morning, raring to go and optimistic, are there tips and pointers that you can offer for people to build that?
Yeah. So this is something that I feel very strongly about, because I think there's a subtle difference between toxic positivity and authentic optimism. Ew. Toxic positivity is like, okay, I feel like crap right now, but let me think about what I'm grateful for. Okay, I'm grateful for my house, and I look at myself in the mirror. Okay, you're beautiful, great. I don't really feel better, but let me just think about what I'm grateful for. Sure, yes, there's plenty of research that having a gratitude practice does create a shift, but you also have to process your emotions. You also have to allow yourself to feel what's there and what's true. And so authentic optimism is really about you being in your truth and being able to feel your emotions fully for what they are. Because as humans, we are able to, most of us, experience a full range of emotions, but we only want to live here, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? How are things? They're fine. Here. What if instead you were actually feeling really, really angry or elated? These are two ends of the spectrum that are just as healthy as each other and everything in between. So part of the magic of being human, I really believe, is being able to feel this full spectrum of emotion, to be able to feel the rage and the anger and screaming in your car, and being able to feel the pride and the passion, the pleasure and the desire. So when we're really feeling the spectrum of our emotions, then we can look at our life and say, okay, I genuinely feel so lit up and so happy about this, versus, okay, I guess I feel good about this, but I have all this other gunk happening in my body that I've been suppressing and pushing down, that I don't want to feel. And so in that article, I spoke a lot about a big piece of resiliency. It's feeling your feelings, feeling your emotions, because I always give this visual of, it's like a pressure cooker, right? And all these emotions are within us. And if we don't let the pressure out a little bit here and there and slowly, the top's going to fly off. So we have to have practices in place that allow us to let some steam out.
I think that's such an important thing. And again, you and I have talked about this a lot, because, I think I've gotten less emotional as I've gotten older. I think I used to cry a lot more, and I used to have tantrums a lot more. And I think now I do sort of suppress it. And I do say, you know what, I can cry, but I'm not going to go all the way to the end of crying, because that's really ugly and I don't have time and all of that. And so I sort of push that off. And you had given me the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle, which if you have not read that book, please read that book. And my friend Amy has it now, so if it's like the traveling pants. So Amy, you need to finish reading that if you haven't already.
Yeah, I read that book twice. It's all marked up, and I have notes, and yeah.
I mean, she really, if you don't know what Glennon Doyle is and Untamed, you need to read that book. But basically, it's like you need to feel your emotion.
Yeah.
And she talks about why you need to feel that, and that it's good to feel those things and allow yourself
Yeah.
to feel upset, to feel really happy. I mean, some people are
Yeah.
afraid to be really happy too.
Hmm.
I think about it in terms of like, I don't want to bawl my eyes out and cry because it's really ugly and I don't have time and all of that. But the other part of that is allowing yourself to feel love fully, and then feel hurt fully, and feel
Yes.
happiness and feel joy, and all of those things.
Hmm.
um I want to talk a little bit about, because I think this is an important one too. Part of bouncing back, right? So the way we spring back into our shape, right? Which I just love that analogy. Now I'm going to have to get stress
Hmm.
balls with GMG on them for that, because I like that. Is about learning from your mistakes and not
Hmm.
wallowing in them. And I think it's so important. When I teach, I work with the students at Rockland Community College, and I've worked at some of the other colleges in the area working with students. And one of the things that's always profoundly impactful for them is when I talk about my journey in life, going from where I thought I would be an actress, and what that would look like, and how I literally, like a ping pong ball, was just all over the place until I landed
Same.
where I am. Yeah. And like, if people do, like, yeah, we could talk for hours about your
Yeah.
history and journey.
Yeah.
But I see them light up when I talk about, I didn't know I wanted to be an actress and that didn't work out, and I was going to go to law school and that didn't work out, and all of these pieces of my life. And they all send back thank you notes, and the wonderful thank you notes that do make me cry. And they basically say that's the biggest piece that they get out of when I talk to them, is that I basically like gave them, not permission,
Permission. Yeah.
yeah, that it's okay if your journey isn't straight. It's okay if you came out and didn't know what you wanted to do, and you ended up going bing 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 bing, bing, all over the place until you found what your purpose was. And I think, learning from mistakes and not wallowing in mistakes is, to me, is such a big part of resilience. That you can be disappointed in yourself, you can say, I should have done that better, but learning and growing from the mistake is what helps with resiliency.
Hmm.
Would you agree with that?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. So there's the thought, like, you fall down, brush yourself off, you bounce back up. I'm actually of the camp where I believe, like, stay down. You fall down, stay there for a second, like, be in it, feel it, allow yourself to feel what it's like to have things not go as planned, or to go a different way, or to be in, like, the shame or the fear or the self-judgment. Be in it for a moment longer than you want to, and see what's there for you. Because when you're there, you're actually probably going to realize it's not that bad, and you're going to be able to get to know the sensations that happen when you're there. You're inviting in a new piece on the spectrum to be in that maybe you haven't been in before. And you're also allowing a deeper connection to yourself. And then when you are ready to come back up, it's not just like a bounce back, forget it, keep it moving. It's a more compassionate and gentle path forward. We're able to say, okay, I was down there and I'm okay, and I made it back, and I am accepting of that part of me that was down there. I'm loving of that part of me that was down there, and this is all that I've gained from being down there.
I literally wrote the word compassion down, like, before you said it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, allowing yourself to feel that.
A
And
big part of trusting yourself is letting go of the judgment around your past mistakes.
I think that also leads, I mean, we're talking about ourselves, and how we need compassion for ourselves, but it also leads to compassion for others, because now the next time someone
Yeah.
else makes a mistake, maybe you're not so harsh to judge, because you're like, okay, I remember that, and that didn't feel good, and I don't want somebody else to feel so horrible about whatever the mistake was.
Yeah.
um
And everyone in our lives is a mirror of what's going on with us. So if we're feeling judgmental of another person, it's just they're just illuminating parts of us that we're judging of ourselves always.
so true, so true. Okay, so the the other thing that I think is so interesting about resilience, that I think is important to talk about, is goal setting. Key that people who are resilient generally have a goal, right? Or goals, multiple goals, and they're keeping their eye on that goal. And I'm sure you have a lot to say about that.
What makes you say that?
Well, because I'm thinking in my head, like it's good to have goals and it's good to have things that you are working towards and striving for, right? Because you want to see something at the end. But it's also good to have goals that change with how you
Mm-hmm.
change. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also, it's sort of a cliche, I guess, a Facebook meme, but it's the journey versus the goal, right? So it's the
Yes.
journey that you're on. But um, I think sort of, and it goes back to sort of knowing who you are. So if you know who you are and you're in your authentic, self, then you know what your goals are. It's almost intrinsic. You know where you want to be or what your goal is. I want to have this or that or whatever for
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I'm not necessarily talking about a goal like to have the biggest house or car or whatever, but the goal of whether it's helping others, whether it's fostering XYZ or whatever. So I just think goal setting is a big part of being resilient and having something that you are striving for, but that you're willing to, you know, get up again that next morning if you fall down and all of that. And you have something to
Mm-hmm.
bounce back to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that when it comes to resiliency and goals, it's actually more about releasing the attachment to the outcome and reframing goals. In this case, for the point of this conversation, reframing goals into desires. What do I really want? What do I want? Because desires, it's like, oh, I have a desire to do this right now, today, tomorrow. Desires can change though. Goals, on the other hand, when you think about like, okay, I have a goal that I have to meet by Q1, and then doesn't happen, you're like, I failed. Or like I said earlier, I have a goal. I'm going to work out. I'm going to meditate every single day. And then you don't feel like it one day, and you're actually then going against your intuition by doing it. So I'm all about flexibility and fluidity and allowing yourself to release the attachment to the outcome. And then and instead ask yourself, what would feel so good? What do I really want? And I think that that is more connected to resiliency than feeling like I have to wake up every day and meet a goal or check a box or cross something off my to-do list.
I totally agree with I think the checking the box. I know for me, like if I don't have a to-do list that is sitting on my desk, I mean, it. I have spreadsheets, I have all kinds of things. And yeah, checking boxes, I think for a lot of us feels so good to check boxes.
Yeah,
Um,
that's great. If it actually feels good, do it.
right. But,
Yeah.
to your point, it shouldn't be just about checking the boxes. So you talk about taking aligned action
Mm-hmm.
in the article. By the way, if people are looking for that article, it's Authority Magazine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Online, and there's a whole sort of series on resiliency. And Kelley is one of the interviews from,
Maybe just, I think it was from this month or yeah,
yeah,
it
a
was from
couple days
or
ago, right?
December. December, yeah.
Okay. So aligned action meaning.
Oh, I use this word almost every single day. Aligned action to me means taking action in alignment with your authentic self. So this is a culmination of everything that we've been talking about already. There's basically, are you acting out of a should, another person's desire, an expectation, or are you acting out of a connection to your truth, who you are, what you want, what you need? That's
So,
all aligned action is.
so okay, so let's take. So I know you work with people one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they
Yeah.
can hire you to basically work with them to get into alignment.
Yeah.
You're like a
Build self-trust.
you're a mental chiropractor. Like you're, you're aligning people up. Um, so if someone's out there and they're watching this now and they're like, I don't know where to start. Like I definitely don't know what my authentic self is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel resilient. I'm having a tough time. Like where do you start with them to help them build resilience? I almost feel like resilience is like your immune system or something. It helps you to bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you help them? Where do they start?
Yeah. I am really big on getting my clients into their bodies. Almost anything I do, anytime I teach anything, all the things that I ever offer, it's about getting you into your body because that is where the truth lives. I promise. The truth, your authenticity, your intuition, it's happening in your body. And when we're in, I call it the thought spiral. It's like a cyclone of thoughts that we get stuck in and swept away in. In order to allow us to find what's true, we have to let the thought spiral go and drop down into our bodies. And it can be easier said than done. So a big part of what I do with my clients is guiding them into their bodies in a way that feels really safe and really accessible, and giving them a taste of the answers that are in them and allowing them to access them, to feel really empowered, to know, oh yeah, I do have the answers in me. I didn't know how to get to it before, but I know now. And what was I gonna say? I forgot. But yeah, big on it's
but I think a big part of that is and you use the word, I think, permission. So giving people permission almost to trust themselves. I think a lot of people grow up not trusting themselves, right? That you've heard from a lot of other people, whether it's parents or it's teachers or it's bosses, about your shoulds and you need to do this and you should do that. And if you don't do this, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I think that goes back to what you said in the very beginning, which is like all of the noise. And so I think what you try to do is strip away that noise, basically, and give people permission to listen to themselves first and get to what they really feel. But do you find that people say, like, I don't know, like, how do I can't get there? Like, I don't know what my voice is.
No, because
I don't know.
There is never an I don't know, because I the way that I take you in your body is very clear and direct. I get you right in there. I get you right to the answer. And my whole entire MO as a self-trust coach is I don't give you any answers at all. All I do is guide you in to find your answers. And there's never been a I can't get there, or I don't know, never.
All right. Because you haven't worked with me on that deep level. All right. So dealing with, we talked mostly about these things. I have down things like keeping an eye on the goal and seeking out, I do have seeking out support. You know, knowing when you can seek out support, whether it's through someone like you, whether it's through friends or that kind of thing, right? That's important to have a support system.
Yes. I would not be where I am without support. I would not be able to trust myself fully if I wasn't guided into my body, similarly to how I guide my clients. And like, we can only go so far on our own because we have blind spots. We just do. We're used to doing things a certain way, and the conditioning that we're brought up in and the patterns that we're just molded into. And so it takes another person sometimes to just reflect back to us, or to empower, or to be that mirror, hold that mirror up. So I have my own support, absolutely. And I am a firm believer in support. And I just actually wrote a Facebook or a LinkedIn post about my 3 predictions, mental health trends of 2022. And the second one was an increase in allowing yourself to receive support. Because I think that the taboo of like, oh, I don't need to ask for help, I think that's going away. And I think that there is a strong desire to go within and actually like feel like something's happening, not just feel like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to meditate, but really I just went through my to-do list and I don't feel any different. But instead feeling like I want to invest my energy and my time in someone who's really going to support me and guide me, and someone who feels aligned. So I think that's going to be a massive thing this year, is allowing ourselves to receive aligned support.
Yeah, I think, and I just want to mention that Kelley had very good parenting growing up. And still has great support. She was a very challenging child to parent, but
I was very self-trusting. Maybe
you were. Totally. I mean, I knew it would serve you well as you got older, but it was very challenging as a young mom. And Kelley's birthday is actually right around the corner, so we'll be celebrating.
Yeah, big Capricorn energy. Anyone's into that. Very stubborn. I want what I want.
Yes, she was very determined. You've always really known your voice. You have always known yourself. I can definitely concur with that. As challenging as it was. Okay. But like I said, served you well. One of the things in the little graphic that I put up on LinkedIn, which I thought was interesting, was, you know, it talked about feeling positive. Or you talked about feeling positive maybe in the article, but it says on that graphic about having a sense of humor. And I
Mm,
wonder, do you talk about that at all? Humor and laughter and all of that in releasing energy or.
yeah, one of the pillars for me of what I do with self-trust is play. And it's funny because for so long, I didn't have play in my life and I was really serious and I wanted to be taken professionally and I needed to have this mask on and, I wouldn't smile and I would like keep my composure and I didn't have an element of play. In fact, I was really resistant to play. It felt way too vulnerable. But in order to access your authenticity, all the parts of yourself, that inner child that's there with you who just wants to play, there has to be elements of just like silliness and pleasure and like gooey honey like fun and enjoyment. And so yes, I think humor is part of it, but play, like just doing things because they feel good and not taking it too seriously. And I was actually thinking about this recently because a lot of my clients and a lot of people that I work with say that they don't have much play in their life, like silliness, silly, just letting go play. And I was thinking the other night, I feel like in our family, we play all the time and we're laughing and we're silly and there's like just a freedom to it and I'm really grateful for that and I think it's a really important element of living authentically is allowing that innate silliness to come out and come through.
I think that's such a great point. Yeah, and I feel like being silly and being playful and laughter is such a great release of energy and a connection
Yeah,
to yourself and others. And we are goofy around here, which is fun. We really do have a lot of playfulness in the four of us in the family.
yeah.
And I think, it's one thing that I brought into my business is, I say to people, it's got to be fun. There's got to be a fun element to it. If there isn't one, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to somehow bring it in. On serious subjects in public relations, there isn't always that opportunity, but we really try to bring in, how can we make this fun? Because
Mm-hmm.
I think when people are having fun, they're connecting. It's like when people are singing or they're dancing or whatever, you
Yeah.
just connect in a different way. And I think that's true about laughter as well. Um, so um, I just want to touch on a few more things. So, mindfulness, we touched on a little bit about being mindful. And I really did love that exercise the other night about really paying attention to what am I doing right now? Am I hating this, what I'm doing right now, or loving what I'm doing right now? Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of being aware of that. And then, so what do I do about that is sort of for me like the next question. So, does this mean if I don't like this, can I turn it over to somebody else, which frees me up to do more of the things that I enjoy? And again, I think that leads to energy building and resilience and all of the things we've talked about. But talk a little bit about self-sabotage and what does that look like? I mean, I know there's a lot of forms of that, but I think that eats away at people's ability to be resilient.
Mm. Well, self-sabotage is a form of protection and we all have inner voices, different parts of ourselves. And self-sabotaging voice is a protector. It's probably one of your greatest protector if you have that voice in you. Similar to your inner critic or your inner judge. It's another one of your voices, and maybe they sound kind of similar, but they're protecting you. They're trying to keep you safe. And safe, they want you to stay in your comfort zone. They want to not allow anything in the past that was scary to happen again. So when it feels like, okay, this is kind of similar to feeling that bad thing, don't let this happen, make it go away. Happens a lot in relationships and with my clients, self-sabotage. The best thing that you can do is see it for what it is. See it as your protector. And you can even spend time with it. When I say see it, I mean literally noticing the voice in your head that is sabotaging and saying, okay, sabotager, you can name it. Sometimes I have my clients name their inner voices. Okay, Nicole, I see you. Thank you so much for being here. I love that you're protecting me right now. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for having my back. You're so seen. You're so safe. We're actually good right now. I've got you. I've got us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. You're okay. You're okay. And connecting with her in that way, because all that voice wants you. It's connected to your inner child. It wants to be seen and it wants to be loved. That's it. So once you give it attention rather than trying to suppress it, it's like, oh, okay. All right, bye.
I love that. Oh, I love that. That's great. All right, that's a good one. So I want you to tell people, I'm going to check Facebook to see if there's comments or whatever, because there might be,
Okay.
but I want you to tell people, I will say that I have a one sheet for Kelley that talks about how she can present to groups, present to corporations, any kind of group that you might belong to. And we can send that out to people and who would like to have that. But can you also tell people how you can work with them or how they can get in touch with you and find you?
Yeah. So I'm all about just getting on the phone and connecting in that way and having an empowering conversation that's just open and for your benefit so that you feel really good. Seeing if it's an energetic match, sharing with you the partnership options that are available to you. So definitely just book a call with me. That's always the easiest. And I can share more about my options there. And Mom, I sent you the link to book a call. But I also have a lot of really fun, juicy things coming up too. I have an event, a virtual free 90-minute event next Wednesday that you can sign up for. I'm doing it with my partner in work and my soul sister, Amanda. We're actually hosting an overnight retreat together in February. So this event next Wednesday is like a taste of our energy together and our coaching style. So if you want to get familiar with the way that I coach, I'm going to be coaching live in that event. So you can sign up for that. It's free. Or get on the phone with me. We'll chat.
And did you give your website address?
RootToRiseHealth.com.
And I'll put all of this in the chat. I can't really tell kind of what's going on. So on Facebook,
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it.
Surrendering. It's a lesson in surrendering and
Yeah.
trusting.
I'm a little bummed about this not being live on LinkedIn. I will post a link to it. We'll post it up to YouTube, my YouTube channel as well. But I'll have to figure out LinkedIn and maybe we'll do this again. On
Whoever is
LinkedIn.
seeing this now, no matter what platform you're seeing it on, you're meant to be seeing it here. So I trust it.
That's right. That's right. Trust the process. All right. So any last minute things that you'd like to leave people with in terms of self-trust or in terms of resilience as we all navigate into 2022?
I think the bottom line is about coming back home to yourself. It's all about coming back to you. And I think that's my theme for 2022. It feels like that is the theme of 2022 is coming back home to you. And that's exactly what I'm here to support you with. So I'm glad that we got to have this conversation. This was fun. Talked about all sorts of things.
This was a lot of fun, and I'm thrilled that you were my guest today. I haven't done one of these in a while. I did them in the beginning of the pandemic, and
we did a Facebook Live right in the beginning, I think too. Maybe that was the first Facebook Live. I don't know.
Yeah, and there were a bunch that I did after that, and it's really a great opportunity to to share information in a unique way. But thank you, Kelley.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody who watched and who will watch, because we'll keep this up on Facebook and I'll put it on YouTube. So I'm wishing everybody a very happy new year and a wonderful, safe, healthy, trust yourself January and 2022. And again, if you have questions about this or just want to learn more about what Kelley does and how she can help you, go to roottorisehealth.com. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. Yay. Thanks, Kel.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.